Hi, this is Kathy with City Farmhouse Studio. I'm excited to share with you the Crochet Mesa Ribbed Market Bag. Available in 2 sizes, it's perfect for you to find the perfect market shopping bag. The link to the pattern is found in the description below. For this pattern, I am using the Yarnspirations Bernat Super Value acrylic yarn, which is 100% acrylic. It is a size 4 medium. With this skein, it is 7 ounces, 197 grams, 440 yards, which is 402 meters. For both sizes, you will only need one of these skeins. This is the basket that I am working on for this tutorial that is made out of the Bernat yarn. I did have a lot of splitting with the yarn. It didn't tend to knot up or almost felt if I had to unpull stitches, even sometimes as I was crocheting it. I love the feel of it. I love the color of it. It came out nice in the end. However, I did have some headaches making it with all of those splitting stitches and just getting caught on itself. For the large, I did use a yarn from Michaels. It is their Loops and Thread Impeccable yarn. I did have some splitting with it, however, not near as much as what I did with the Bernat yarn. I'll link both of those in the pattern description, and also some other options that online say have a comparative gauge so that you can maybe pick up one that is your new favorite. Both of them did come out nice in the end. They feel great. Just, I'm not in love with either of them for my all-time favorite yarns, but they're not my favorite yarns to work with. However, they do make a nice bag in the end if you can get by the splittingness of the yarn. So again, Bernat, kind of available in wider retailers. It is a Yarnspiration yarn, and then their Michaels house brand Loops and Thread. Along with the yarn, you will need a crochet hook. I am using a USG, which is a 4 millimeter. The yarn that I'm using recommends a USH. However, for the bag, I want it tight and dense so that it's more structural and just kind of has a little more strength and sturdiness within the bag. So I've gone down a hook size. It does make it harder to crochet a little bit, but you get a very nice bag out of the end that is super durable and dense. So to begin, we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. And we're starting at the bottom of the bag, so the footprint, and we're starting in the center. We're going to chain a foundation chain, and then working around both sides of that foundation chain, we're going to increase out till we get the footprint of the bag. Now you do notice that as you see the chain, there are 2 sizes, 2 numbers. The smaller number is for the smaller size, and the larger number is for the larger size. So just chaining the number needed for the size. I am making the small. And I always make this foundation chain a little bit looser than what I typically would with the hook or my single crochets and things. And that just makes it easier to work in all the single crochets later on. And it keeps it a little bit more to scale. So that is the 29 chain for the smaller bag. Now for round 1, it says starting in the second chain from the hook, you want to make 2 single crochets in the same space as that chain. So going straight into that one spot, I made 2 single crochets. For the larger bag, you will do 3. Now I'm going to single crochet down 26 stitches. So I will be left with 1 stitch unworked. And I just go through the one side of the chain. So you can see there's the chain. I'm just going into that one loop on the one side. So once you've made your last single crochet for that section, and you still have just the one chain left, you're going to make your last stitches into that loop, I'm making 2, one on each side. The large bag would make 3 in that last loop. And now I'm going to work 26 single crochets along this side of the chain, so the opposite edge of where I just worked. So that's where I worked my last single crochet, so I'll go to the next stitch and make my first of the 26 single crochets. All right, so that was the last of the 26 stitches on the second side. Now I'm going to go into that first single crochet in the very first stitch, and I'm going to make a slip to pull that edge in that side of the loop closed. And now we're on to round 2. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and starting in that first single crochet, so the last single crochet of the last round, we'll start our 26. Each of these rounds we're going to make 26, split my yarn, we'll make 26 single crochets, we'll do a few increases, we'll do the 26 side and then the increases at the other end. Now depending on the round, you may do the increases first or in the middle and at the end. So it depends on which direction of the round you're going to start. So this round we're going to do our 26 first, and then we'll do our increases. Once you finish your 26 or 36, you're going to make 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And for the size small, you're going to do that once more. So I'll make 2 single crochets in that second stitch, and that helps increase around the curve. For the larger size, you will be doing 3 of those repeats, and then you single crochet your straight numbers to the end of the section and do that 2 single crochets in 1 stitch for 2 or 3 times, depending on your size. So I've come back to the opposite end, so I have the 2 in 1 stitch at this end. This was the round where I started. So I have 2 stitches remaining of this round. So for the small, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, repeat that. And then just like the first round, I'm going to go into that first single crochet of the round. I made very tight, and slip stitch that closed. So now for round 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're at the increases again at the beginning. So we're going to do that 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. But this time, instead of going straight into the other increase, we're going to single crochet once and then repeat that series. So the next stitch I'll make 2 and then single crochet once. For the larger bag, repeat that once more, the 2 single crochets, single crochet once, and now we're into the single crocheting this longer portion, the same number as before, so 26 or 36. So now at the other end, for the increase, I'm going to repeat that increase pattern of 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, single crochet in the next, Repeat it again, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, 1 single crochet, and then working the straight 26 down to slip stitch at the end. All right, so slip stitch at the end to join the round with the beginning, single crochet, chain 1, and then we begin our single crochet for round 4. And this pattern of going around, increasing at the ends is what we continue to do. All right, so now I'm back to the end where I need to increase. So I'm going to make 2 single crochets. And now I need to increase the individual single crochets by 1. So how last round I had 1 single crochet and then did the 2 in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 individual single crochets and then go into my next stitch and make 2 single crochets in 1, single crochet 2. And then we will crochet the 26, 36. And at the opposite end, I'm going to single crochet 2 in the same stitch place, make 2 single crochets over the next 2 stitches, increase by single crocheting twice in 1 stitch, and then my last 2 single crochets, and slip stitch to close that round. Round 5, we keep going, adding 1 in between those 2 single crochets in 1 spot, so 2 single crochets. Now single crochet 3, then we repeat that of 2 in 1 spot, single crochet 3, and now our 26 or 36. Large, of course, you do need to repeat that once more. But we continue going on in this pattern. At the end, slip stitch to join, and that completes round 5. And mine's curling, but as we go, it will lay flat. Now for round 6, we'll go ahead and chain 1 and turn, work our straight stitches, and then the large sizes will increase as normal, make your 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then instead of 3 stitches, you will make 4 stitches in that next single crochet spaces. The small sizes, however, we're changing it up because the number of pattern repeats on the main side panels of the bag, with how all the math works with the increases to get you a proportionate footprint, round 6 and 7s are a little bit different for you all. So we'll chain 1 and turn and do our 26 stitches of single crochet as normal, but then the increases on the round ends for round 6 and round 7, instead of just increasing 2 times, we want to increase 3 times. So we're kind of getting up with where our large friends, our large bag maker friends are. They're not our large friends. but because of where we have been increasing those places and the numbers in between don't give us an even stitch count to work off of. So it gets a little fiddly. Not too bad. We just got to pay attention. So once we get the 26 stitches along this side, so now for all of the sizes, we're going to make 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the next so many stitches. Now this is where it varies. Small, we're only going to make it in the next 3 stitches. Large, go ahead and make it in the 4th stitch, so 1 more. And we're going to do that 2 or 3 times, depending on your size. So for small, we're going to do that once more. So single crochet 2, and then the number of plain stitches, 1, 2, 3. Now after the repeat, the large size would be ready to move on to where it says all sizes, and you single crochet your straight edge. The small size, we have a little bit of a separate line item, and that's where we're going to make 1 more increase in the next stitch, so 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then we're going to single crochet once in the next stitch, and that's it. And now we can single crochet back around for those 26 stitches. What this little change in the pattern from going from 2 increases to 3 is doing is it's helping us get the final number of stitches in line with what we need for the side patterns, the side repeats with all the motifs and sectioning that we need to do, and still keep a good size footprint for the bottom where it wouldn't have been too narrow or too long and skinny otherwise. Ready to repeat that section of round 6 for the small. For all sizes, that separate make 2, single crochet in the next 3 or 4 stitches if you're the large size. Make 2 more. Single crochet 3 or 4. And then for the size small, we have our separate line item, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, 1, and then all sizes we will be slip stitching and closing the round. Round 7 is just the same. So chain 1 and turn, make 2 in 1 stitch. Now you will be single crocheting 4 or 5 depending on your size. Increasing again. And then the 4 or 5 individual stitches. And then for the small size, you're going to do another make 2. In 1 stitch, and now instead of just single crocheting once, we need to single crochet twice to repeat, finish off that little increase section. Now we will single crochet your 26, 36, repeat that on the other end, single crochet back, and we're done with our bottom of our footprint. Once you finish round 7, you are done with the bottom of the bag and are ready to begin with the sides of the bag. So the sides of the bag begin with round 8, and it says chain 1 and turn. And we're going to start following chart A for your size, and then chart B, then chart A again, and chart B. And what it is chart A is the longer section, which has the triangular basket weave element on the corners or up at the top. And then chart B are your sides, which will include the increases to get the market bag a little bit wider at the top. Then you repeat the A, which has the diamond motif, and then back around to the. So for chart A, you're going to be doing an extended single crochet in each of the front loops of the round that we just completed. So you can see here is my slip stitch that closed the round, and here is the first stitch of the round. That kind of V is the full stitch. I want to go through just the front section and make a extended single crochet. And essentially all that is you're chaining 1 and then pulling through both of those 2 loops. So going through the second stitch, we're going to pull a loop up, go through that loop again to make a chain, pull through both of those 2 loops on your hook to make a single crochet. And we're just going through the one side of the loop that's closest to you, and what that does is create a nice little ridge detail at the bottom of the pattern of the market bag. So we just, in each stitch, we don't have to worry about increasing or decreasing. Just one for one. So chain, pull through both. So just like the other rounds for the bottom of the bag, I'm going to go into the top full stitch of the first stitch of the round and make a slip stitch to close it. And now we're on to round 9. Since we started round 8 with chart A, this time as we chain 1 and turn, we're going to be referencing chart B. So looking at chart B, we're going to start our first stitch with another extended single crochet, but this time going through both loops of the stitch below. And then we're going to do 4 front post double crochets. It sounds fancy, the icon looks intimidating. In the chart, it isn't. You wrap your hook just like you would to make a double crochet. Instead of going into the top of the stitch like we normally do, we're looking at the post of the stitch that makes up the 2 loops. We're going to go from the front side and loop it back and through, so we have that post making up the loop, draw up a loop, and complete pulling through 2 loops at a time to make a double crochet. It is a double crochet, just in a different location. We're going to do that again for 3 more times, going around from the front to the back and back to the front, making your double crochet. That's 3. And 4. After the 4th front post double crochet, we're going in the top of the stitch and making it an extended single crochet, and then we repeat going around the post for 4 front post double crochets. This round is a little bit harder to see where the posts are because they are just those extended single crochets. From here on out, a majority of them will be wrapping around these front post double crochets, so you really can see where you're wrapping. I did my extended single crochet, still referencing chart B. I'll make 4 more. And then I'm going to make 1 more. After I've made that extended single crochet, you can see there's 3 groups of 4 front post double crochets with those extended single crochets kind of pulling them back in. And that completes section B. Now I'm going to go to section A and repeat that line. So it starts out with 4 front post double crochets. And again, I'm referencing the small, so the largest will have some more sections within the ending. So after the first 4, extend single crochet, I do 4 more. And then after this, you'll look at the pattern, and there's a variation that it kind of starts setting up for the triangular basket weave up at the top. And instead of just 1 extended single crochet, we're going to make 2 next to each other, go into another front post double crochet for 4 of those. Once you have those 4, we're going to do 2 more extended single crochets right next to each other. And then 4 more front post double crochets. So we'll just keep following the chart, going back and forth between chart B and A for this row. And that's the end of A for my patterning. If you're making the large size, of course, you would have extra rounds of the chain front. You would have extra rounds of the 4 front post double crochet sections in both sections A and B charts. So now that I've finished the A section, I am back to repeating chart B, and then I'd repeat chart A again and slip stitch closed. Okay, again at the end of each round, slip stitch in that first stitch, close it. All right, so now if you're looking at the pattern, it does give you a little helpful hint, and that is to take a stitch marker and mark the beginnings and ends of those charts. So I am taking my very fancy stitch marker and I'm just going around the post of the extended single crochets at both ends of the chart A. And I'm just going to go around each of the extended single crochets where chart A and B meet. And this is going to help me later on because it is in between this space where we do our increases. And it just helps me see I'm in the right column instead of having to count all the different sections motifs. So mark this one, and all four are marked. So we closed, and now for the second row, the second round of double crochets, we're going to chain one and turn. And looking at the charts, again, we're going to begin with chart A, and it looks very similar to the front post double crochet, and it is, but you can see the little bottom tail is going the opposite way. So again, we're going to wrap our hook like for a double crochet, and instead of going from the front around the post like we did for a front post double crochet, for a back post we're going to come in from the back side, pull up a loop, and then make our double crochet. So front posts, you will see the full post on the front side of the work that is facing you as you're making it. A back post double crochet is on the back side. But when we turn around and look at our work, it makes that column stitch all on the same side of the fabric, and that's how we get those nice tall vertical columns running through our basket. So now we're going to work chart A and then B. So after the 4 back post double crochets, again, we're going to do an extended single crochet in the extended single crochet of the row before, back post double crochet in each of the front post double crochets of the row before, and you just keep on repeating. 1, 2, 3. The groups of 4 with the extended single crochets as denoted in the charts. So just ending that round with the extended single crochet that is on chart B for the edges, and then slip stitching closed. And now we're ready to chain one and turn our work. Now we have a new symbol, and this is a make an increase symbol, and all we're going to do is make 2 extended single crochets in this extended single crochet of the row before. So where you had marked those points, that extended crochet spot, you're going to make 2 in. And then we're going to front post double crochet, and then we keep front post double crocheting around the stitches as we were, those groups of 4. Here's an extended single crochet spot, so make another one. We'll work around until we get to where we need to increase again. Here's our increase, so not there. One more group. So I'm coming up to where I've marked my extended single crochet. So I'll go into that stitch, make one extended single crochet, and make one more, and then continue on. So once I've come around with the last 4 front post double crochets, I'm going to go into the first extended single crochet, make a slip knot, and pull it together. So I'll just chain 1 and turn and begin those back post double crochets for chart A without splitting or losing the yarn here. And then whenever I get to those spot where I had the 2 extended single crochet in the one space below, you'll notice I'm having trouble here talking and doing something at the same time. Oh my goodness. All right. You'll notice that on chart B, above those spots that had the 2 extended single crochets from the previous row, you will notice now there are 2 additional extended single crochets that are lying outside of the pattern from what we've been, the stitch number pattern that we've been using so far. So those 2 stitches represent the 2 new stitches that we created on the row before. So we'll just be making an extended single crochet in each of those spots whenever we get to them. All right, so here we are to our first corner where I had that increased stitch of the previous row. And if you look at chart B, you will see that there are 2 extended single crochets, and one of them is lying outside of the stitches from the previous row. And that is because the first extended single crochet is for that additional stitch we made. So we'll just make 1 extended single crochet in each of those stitches, going around for each time we did the increase, and then keeping the rest the same in the pattern. So I'm coming back around to the end of that pattern, repeat, and I will make my 2 extended single crochets, 1 in each of the stitches. Close the round with the slip stitch, chain 1 and turn, and continue repeating with the 2 extended single crochets in each of the corners, and then the 4 front post double crochets. So after this row, repeat the back post double crochet with those 2 extended single crochets in the corner, and then we'll move on to the next step of the pattern, detail. So once you finish those rows of just the 2 extended single crochets, chain 1 and turn, and we're to the next increase row. And it's exactly the same. We're going to make 2 extended single crochets in this first stitch, and we're still going to make another one in that second one, and then work over to this next corner. And the only thing you have to remember, so that you know which of these extended single crochets from the previous row to make your increase in, is that we want the increase edge to be next to panels A. So we want them by that center portion. So we want it towards this edge of the basket and not this edge. So we're going to keep whatever extended single crochet is closest to the center of the sides. That's the one we're going to make our 2 extended single crochet stitches into. So continuing with the front post double crochets. So again, we have our 2 extended single crochets. We want the increase stitch, the one with the 2, to be closest to the A chart. So we will make 1 extended single crochet, and then we will make 2 in this next stitch. And then we'll continue around doing the same thing on this side, making the 2, and then just the 1, and then just the 1, and then the 2 in the single stitch to increase before finishing the round. So I finished all the round with the increases. So each round has 3 of those extended single crochets in them. And I've slip stitched to join, turned, and back post double crochet through the chart A. And now I'm to where I would start chart B. And what this is we're going to start increasing this section here. And eventually what we're going to get is a full another repeat of the 4 post double crochets, adding into it 1 post at a time. So you always just need to remember that increases are towards the chart A side, and then you'll have another extended single crochet by this next front post double crochet, and as you increase, all the additional front post double crochets will fill in. So now that I've done the 4, I'm going to make 1 extended single crochet. So that's in the stitch that I just worked. So you need to go around the next post of the extended crochet and make a double crochet. Here's your next extended single crochet and make 1 in that. And now we are to our regular back post double crochets. Get a couple more in there. All right, so there you can see where that back post double crochet is starting another post in between the 2 extended single crochets. And then on this side, which is by chart A, is where we continue to make the increases. So let's do 1 more of those on the other corner. All right, so now we're to the next set of 3 extended single crochets. I'm going to go into the first stitch, make 1 extended single crochet, wrap the next one for a back post double crochet, extend in the next. And then continue on with our chart A. And we'd repeat that pattern of chart B on the other end. So I finished the next 2 rounds of adding the front post and back post double crochets along with that increased stitch. So you can start to see how that column starts to form. And now we are ready to add another increase into that extended single crochet. So again, just do 2 extended single crochets into that 1 stitch. Make your front post double crochet, and then just 1 in this next extended single crochet. And now you can really start to see how and where the second column will start to form. Again, keeping it towards the side of chart A. So that edge inside stitch will be the second increased column. Now I'm into where I need to make my next increase. We always want to remember the increase stays by chart A of that increased section, so on this side. So I'll go ahead and complete this extended single crochet, front post double crochet, and then after that, this is the extended single crochet where I want to make my increase in, because it is the one by chart A. And there we go. So for the large bag, you will go ahead and continue on around, make your increase on these 2 corners, do your other additional rows, come back around for another increase, and that's where you're going to start with your cables for the basket weave. For the size small bag, you're going to go ahead and start on this row. And both the large and the small will do the same patterning up to a certain point. Just the small one doesn't go as wide, so it doesn't have as many repeats. It's the same stitches. So you're going to want to work the pattern as you have been until you get to the 2 extended single crochets in the center of the pattern on chart A. And we'll work those as we have been for this round. And now we want to do a right leaning cable over these 4 stitches. So what's going to happen is we're going to do front post treble crochets on the second, or actually the third and fourth. We're going to skip 2. We'll make the treble crochets around the third and the fourth, and then working behind those stitches we just did, do treble crochet front post around the first and second. And that is how we make our cables. So to begin, for a double crochet, you know how you wrap only once. Get that out of the way so you don't get confused. For treble crochet, wrap it once more. So now there are 3 wraps, 3 loops on your hook. And you go in to that third stitch post, pull up a loop, go through 2 on your hook, go through 2 again, and then go through the last 2. So it's very much like a double crochet, you just adding that 1 more repeat wrap and 1 more pull through 2. And that gets you a little bit longer to help you cover that distance that we're going. All right, so now this is the absolute trickiest part of the pattern. The hardest part, at least for me, is going behind these stitches. So I kind of pull them down, and I always kind of lay everything open so that I can see. Here's the 1, 2 I just made. Here's the second, and then that's the first stitch of the post that I want to go into. So for me, it feels like you're performing surgery. And I am having a heck of a time splitting yarn with this yarn. And you go through 2, and you just kind of edge them off. You go through 2, and you go through the last 2. All right, so now we need to do that again. I'm going to pull everything forward and go through that second loop, the second post, and do all the treble crochets. And then we will go now into the extended single crochet. So after you do those 2, you go right back. They do kind of lay a little wonky at first, but once you go into them on your next row, it kind of sorts them out and helps them lay flat. And that is the right leaning cable, because you can see that the ones on front are tilting to the right. Now we'll go back to our double crochets. And we'll go to the corner and do our increase stitches again and repeat that process. I'll show you once more on the other side. So here's the cape, the increase. So I'm to where we need to increase. Again, here's chart A, so I know this stitch is where I want to make the increase into. And just one on that side. At the last increase side. So again, I want that double stitch by the chart A section. So it's this one I'm working into that I've made my double increase. Now we'll work towards the center because it's flanked by the 2 extended single crochets and make another right leaning cable. All right, so ready to perform surgery? That's what it feels like to me. All right, so we wrap twice. We skip the first 2, going into the third, and make a front post treble crochet. Wrap twice, going into the fourth, make a front post treble crochet. Okay, wrapping twice, going behind those stitches that we just worked, finding the first column post, and going through 2, go through 2, and splitting the yarns again. There we go. And then the last 2. Wrap, and then the second post. There we go. And then make our extended single crochets. And then we can finish this section of the row. So I'm on the next row, and I'm coming back along to our cable. I've made the 2 extended single crochets, and now for these back post double crochets, I'm going to go into the first cable that I've come to, so it's the first one on the back side. Need to do the second one on the back side. And now I can do the 2 cables that are on the front side of the cables. And then the 2 . So there you can see it's really starting to form that cross, and the cables are laying much flatter. So now I'm to the point where I have the 2 extended single crochets. So I'm going to make the first extended single crochet, and then I'm going to wrap my hook, wrap around that next post of the extended single crochet, and do a back post double crochet through it, through the next post. So there I've started to add that second post for the columns, and then an extended single crochet. Now I'm at the next increase area. So this is chart B, chart A. So I know it's this side that I want the increase. So I've made 1 extended single crochet. I'll do the first back post double crochet, wrap the first post of the first extended single crochet to make a back post double crochet, and then in that second extended single crochet of the row below, I make an extended single crochet. So now I've come up to the next cable from the other side. I want to go in order, so again, double crochets, wrap the post for a back post double crochet around that first stitch you come to, wrap, and then I'm going to have to use your hook to pull it around this treble. So you can see the first one is tucked in at an angle, and then that one, which are both beneath the top cable, treble crochets. Make a double crochet on that, and the next 2. So just following those cables in order as they lay, not as we've made them. And then the 2 extended single crochets. So now I've worked to the next row. I've gone ahead and did a front post double crochet around the back post double crochet from the previous row. So you can see how those columns are starting to increase along the side of chart A. In this, we've done chart B, we've come around, and now we're looking at chart A. And you can see that these 2 extended single crochets are going to be moving out because we will now have 2 sets of cable motifs. In these 2 groups of extended single crochets are going to be moving out 3 stitches past where they were. So I've left my 3 front post double crochets unworked, and I'm going to make those 2 extended single crochets. Now I want to make a left leaning cable, so I want the cables that I make first to be in front of the cables that I make second. So to do that, we're going to skip 2 stitches. So we're going to skip this first cable, the first extended single crochet, and I'll make a front post treble crochet around the second extended single crochet. I always look at the back. You can really start to see those posts on these. And then there's usually like a little line up. You can consistently grab it like I have, or you can leave it in the mix to fill in the background. There's our first one. And our second one. Now I want to come back and do this front post and the next extended single crochet. And again, I'm going to look at the back so I can see. Here's the cable that we just did. It's pulling forward. I can see those other 2 pulled, but this is the stitch that I want to work around. And there's that line I like to grab and make a treble crochet from that. So there you can see where the 2 that we made last are laying in front of the ones we did first. Now in the next stitch that we haven't done, so we made a front post treble crochet around this first one. So this next one, we'll do a series of 2 extended single crochets, and 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, and repeat the same thing. So we're going to increase by 1 cable. So each round we're increasing by 1 cable. We're going to skip this post and the extended single crochet, and I'll get the first, and I'll get that extended single crochet, and then we'll do the next post we come to. And then coming from the front side of the work so that they lay on top. The last post that we didn't do of the double crochet before. And then get that post of the extended single crochet for the last part of the cable. Now we want to finish again with 2 extended single crochets, and then we carry on the pattern. So no matter what the stitch we end on for this basket weave, as soon as we've completed those 2 extended single crochets, the next spot over, you just continue the pattern as we have been. Here you can see that I've finished all the rows of the chart all the way to the top. You finish with just front post double crochets around, and then where you had your extended single crochets in the row below, you have extended single crochets in that last row as well. Once you have finished all the charts, you're back to the pattern which is written, because this is just a very simple Chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to half double crochet in each of the stitches around. So half double crochets, you wrap your hook, go into both loops of the stitch below, pull one loop up, and then pull through all 3 on your hook. So again, wrap your hook, insert into the stitch and pull up a loop, and then draw through all 3 loops on your hook. So just one stitch in each of the stitches below, does not matter what they were previously, they are now becoming all half double crochets. Once you make your last half double crochet, we're going to go into the first stitch and slip stitch that to join to close that shut. Now we will chain 1 and turn, and we need to repeat that same row and half double crocheting in each of the stitches around 2 more times. So looking at your pattern, you will know the rows. So there you can see after the half double crochet rows, 3 rounds, you can start to see the little detail that the wrap around your hook on your half double crochets start to create. I've gone ahead and started the next round, which is where the handle starts to break out, but in the beginning it's just a set number of half double crochets in each stitch. And you can even see here another round of that little detail starts to showing up. So once you get to the section where it says to break for the handle, which is foundation half double crochet, the FPDC, so many stitches. And what we're going to do there is create a chain and the half double crochet all at one go. And what this does is continue on with this thickness of this band for the edging. If we just chained, it would have a big chunk taken out and you would miss this whole section. So we're going to do the chain and the half double crochet all at once. It does sound complicated. It can be complicated. You just have to think and keep track of what you're doing, which I'll explain it, and it's not as hard once you know what you're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and wrap our hook as if to half double crochet, and we're going to go into the same stitch that we worked before and pull up a loop. This loop is essentially the chain stitch. So now I want to complete a half double crochet. So I'm going to pull up the loop that we would normally through the stitch and then complete our half double crochet. I'm going to wrap my hook for the next half double crochet, and I'm going to go into what we made, that loop that pulled up, that is our chain for the stitch below. I'm just going to pull that one strand over my hook, pull a loop over and out. So that is my chain for this stitch. Now pull a loop up for my half double crochet and pull through all 3 stitches on my hook to complete. So there you can see I've essentially made 2 chains and 2 half double crochets. So I'm going to wrap, insert into that loop again, which is the chain, pull another chain, and then work the last part of my half double crochet of pulling a loop and pulling through all 3. Now you can see that after I made that loop, I hold it, the chain loop, I hold it with my thumb and finger. That way for my next stitch, I know that's where I'm going to be working into. And you just keep repeating, pulling a chain, and then working the last loop and pull through 3 for your half double crochet for the number of stitches your back size needs. Once you have finished all the half double crochets for the size with the foundation included, we're ready to attach it to the other side. Now, if we went ahead and just started doing half double crochets, what would happen is it wouldn't join it that well, and you would have just this one little loop that is attaching it, and it's kind of pulling and it doesn't feel as secured. So what we're going to do is attach it with the linked half double crochet so that we're tying this stitch base in with where we're going. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap my hook for the half double crochet, and I'm going to go into the chain of my last stitch, my foundation half double crochet, and I'm going to pull up another chain. But this is going to act as my anchor to my next stitch. Then I'm going to go into the stitch and pull up a loop. And now I want to finish my half double crochet, but instead of going through all three, I'm going to go through all 4 loops that were on my hook. And there you can see it's fully locked in with the entire stitch at the top and bottom, and it mirrors what we've done on the other side. So now we're going to continue half double crocheting around and making the next side. Once you complete this round, the end, slip stitch to join, chain 1, and for your next round, you just half double crochet in each of the stitches. So there I've gone ahead and finished my handle row, and then I've gone and done the next row, which is just half double crochets in each of the stitches. Now we're on to the final row. I've gone ahead and chained 1 and turned, and so now the pattern saved for us to half double crochet in the back loop only. And why that is so we have the loop from our wrap, and then we have the 2 top loops. I'm going to wrap my hook and just go into this furthest side, just the one single loop on the top that is furthest away from me, the back loop, and make a half double crochet. I'll go ahead and do that in the next stitch. Once we get a couple of stitches in, you'll see that by just going in the back stitch, we get a nice little, almost a knit detail line. So we have the 2 lines from our previous wraps, and then this top wrap will be kind of a knit stitch. So we'll finish this row all the way around, 1 stitch in each of those back loops, the loops that are furthest away from us. And then at the end, we'll slip stitch to join, bind off, weave in our ends, and you have your bag complete. There you can see the finished crocheted Mesa Ribbed Market Basket. So cute, so versatile to use. Perfect little storage basket, little bag, easy to carry around all of your projects. I did finish the large one and have been using it as a project bag for the small one. Absolutely love it. Thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial for the Mesa Ribbed Market Basket. Please let me know down below what you decide to use it for. Also, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on any other tutorials from City Farmhouse Studio. Thanks again. Bye.